everyone. I'm Emily Gillespie, and you're here with me for my weekly Art Chat live on Instagram. Let me tell you about myself real quick. When I was just a kid, my elementary school art teacher told me that I was no good at arts, and I made the mistake of believing her. So for many years, from the time I was in elementary school until, maybe 30 years later, just about, I avoided any kind of activity that I thought was creative or artistic. It took me until I was married with a young child at home to rediscover my creativity and to realize how much joy it brings to my life. Now I love to cheer on other women and help them reconnect with the things that bring them creative joy. These art chats are a way for me to do that. I can share my thoughts on issues facing creatives and provide encouragement. Thanks for being here with me today. Today I wanted to talk to you about creative success, and I want you to take a minute here and think about what that means to you. If you already know what that looks like in your life, leave a comment and let me know. If you don't, I have a couple things I want you to think about as you define what a successful creative means to you. But while you're thinking, let me tell you about my definition of creative success and how it has evolved over the years. So, I used to think creative success was equivalent to commercial success, and that, that could mean being profitable, financially successful, selling a lot of artwork, just use your imagination. My impression of someone who was creatively successful were the big shot artists who get reviewed in Christie's and in the great big art galleries and publications. But things have changed over the years. They say that this is the best time we've ever had in history for artists to be able to connect with their audience and with their collectors. We have the internet, and that has made it so easy to see people and be seen and get your name out there. So certainly there are lots of artists out there who have built their communities and utilize the internet and technology to develop their own platforms and creative communities online. I spent a long time following the advice of so-called experts for social media. They have, if you've been on social media for any amount of time, you know that they have all kinds of advice that they like to share. Top 10 tips to gain 1,000 followers in a day, or something ridiculous like that. They've got all kinds of hacks for growth that aren't really hacks at all. Things like posting consistently, which I agree with, but their definition is like 6 times a day. Engage with every comment you get. Spend only 1 hour a day connecting with other accounts in your niche. Post 9,000 reels per week. Post 27 carousels. Have a website. Build an email following, and so on. The truth is, this may work for some people, but that's really a lot of work. I still do some of those things because I do believe that making the connection to your peers is a good factor to being successful, but that's definitely not the only thing. It's not the whole picture. Moderation in everything is key, and in this instance, I definitely don't have the time or energy to sustain that level of activity on social media for something that doesn't directly benefit me or my family, and something that I'm not that passionate about. If I'm going to pour a lot of time into something, it's going to be my art and creativity, not social media. There's so much more to being successful than just having a large following on social media or experiencing specific measured commercial results. I still love creating and making art, of course, and I still have dreams of maybe being a professional creative artist someday. But for now, my definition of success has vastly changed from the original idea. For me, for now, at this point in my life, I would define creative success as, there's a few different criteria that any new activity I introduce into my life has to bring. So first, does it interfere with time with my family or my regular job? The latter, interfering with my regular job, is less of a concern, but obviously since that's what's paying me, that does get some consideration. Does it bring me joy? Is it something I can fit into my everyday life and my other responsibilities? Am I able to share my gifts with other people to make their lives and the world in general a better and more beautiful place? If I can stay aligned with those things, even if I never make any money on selling my art or teaching classes or anything related to my creativity, if I can stay focused on those couple things, that would make me really happy. Just being able to derive some personal pleasure and satisfaction from my work and from encouraging others to pursue what they are passionate about. So let's get back to you now. If you want to be successful in anything, but again, in this instance, we're talking about creativity. If you want to be successful, you need to set a specific definition of what that means to you. If you don't have an idea of what you're aiming for, you'll never be able to determine if you reach it, right? So also think carefully about the possibility that your goal might have come from an external source rather than being something that you really desire for yourself. If your goal is not something that you are passionate about, or something that brings you fulfillment, then I don't really know what the point of going after it would be. So that's something you have to think about and determine for yourself as well. Ultimately, with any goal or activity, it has to be something that makes you happy. So in this instance, does creative success mean personal fulfillment to you? Does it mean reaching a specific goal? And that could be like a monetary goal or a skill level, just a means to connecting with your community. There's all different kinds of criteria that you could use as a measure for setting a specific goal. Or does success to you mean making lots of money and becoming famous? None of those things are bad. Those are all valid definitions of creative success. But again, it comes back down to what you personally want out of your life. So there's a couple habits for success. that I've found. One of the most important ones, at least for me, because I struggle with this a lot too, is to watch out for distractions. If you can get a planner and kind of schedule out your day, and you don't have to do anything as specific as, when you're at work or when you're driving or when you're gonna exercise or take a shower or do laundry. It doesn't need to be like that, but if you can give yourself just a general idea of what you want to accomplish in a day, that really helps you be more mindful of how you're spending your time. I find that when I am not conscious about how I'm spending my time and my days, I'm a lot more likely to waste time scrolling on my phone. I'll get sucked into watching a TV show, just all kinds of time wasters. But those things keep me from getting the things I want to get done. That's my biggest obstacle. Another thing to think about is that you should never stop learning. In any subject or discipline, learning brings greater knowledge and perspective, which helps you grow, and that any kind of personal growth only helps you be a better you. And if you're a better you, then you are better able to do the things you love and share those with other people, to share your gifts. Identify your creative goals. A lot of you have probably heard the acronym for goal setting of SMART, S-M-A-R-T. So that's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And there's lots of resources on that if you want to look into that further, but I'm not going to get into that today. But those are the things that each goal that you set needs to have in order to make it realistic and possible to achieve. You're going to have the best chance of getting to your goals if you keep it to that kind of criteria. So once you have your goal set, you're going to break each goal down into actionable steps so you don't overwhelm yourself. And that'll also make it easier to keep track of your progress, to keep track of where you are, and identify what you still have to do. Think about your why. And that's kind of a big question, and it's taken me a while to get my head around that thought, because I've been hearing a lot about it in the last several years. But why do you do what you do? Why is that fulfilling for you? What kind of impact do you want to make in your life, or with your wife? With your life, to the people around you, to the world in general, to your community. What is that one thing that you are so passionate about that you are willing to work hard and make sacrifices for? If your definition of creative success doesn't line up with those things, you're going to have a hard time sticking with whatever you're doing when it gets challenging or when it's not fun anymore. Going along with that, don't just think about your one goal or your definition of success. There's other things in your life that factor in, that affect what you're doing with your spare time. Things that are also important to you. And that could be your career, finances, family relationships, other relationships, community involvement, um, lots of different stuff. Do those things align with the goals that you say you have? If they don't, you might need to take some time and reevaluate either your goals or the things that you think are important to you. If you're going to be successful in anything, your priorities need to be lined up in all different areas, or you're going to have a big conflict and you're not going to achieve the things you want to do. Lastly, and this is, I think, the most important, be realistic with your definition of success. It's great. I really encourage you to reach for amazing, lofty, beautiful things. We are all capable of doing beautiful things in this world, but make sure you don't get so wrapped up in those big goals that you lose sight of these small things in your life. Find contentment in the little moments. You know, look around you and just see the beauty, and find the joy in your relationships. Be present where you are and with what you have, and recognize that success is not necessarily the same as happiness, and don't get those confused. Remember that there's no one thing that will determine your success. Success isn't necessarily linear. It's not a formula. It's not an equation, a set of steps, like in an instruction manual. It's not a guaranteed straight path. Rather, success is the combination of all of the above different factors that I've been talking about, and even more. It is a constant redirecting and refocusing and reevaluating and going off track and dusting yourself off and putting yourself back on the path again and again and again, keeping yourself on track. Don't get discouraged, and don't beat yourself up if you find yourself losing focus. Because that's going to happen. It happens to all of us, and beating yourself up, that's not going to do you any good, but just take a deep breath and keep on going. That's the best thing you can do. So if you don't know how to determine if you're successful, you won't be able to identify when you're going off track. You'll have a hard time staying focused on your end goals, and you run the risk of moving the goalpost on yourself. You get to one goal that you thought you had, and then that's not enough. So you think, okay, well, maybe if I get to this next goal point, then I'll be satisfied or happy or fulfilled. And that's not necessarily the case. So whatever you decide creative success means for you, keep that definition in mind. Write it down, keep it in front of you somewhere you can see or review on a regular basis, and hold that inside your heart, and don't let anyone convince you that that is not real or valid. Nobody else can tell you if you are successful or not. That's something you have to determine for yourself. I've got a lot of thoughts right there, just kind of going off subject. Lots of thoughts for myself. But this is for you guys. So thanks for listening to this week's Art Chat. Oops. I hope I give you some things to think about. I hope this encourages you and helps you focus on the direction you want to go with your creativity. Make sure you're following me here on Instagram. My profile is at Emily Jaleski. That's EmilYJaleski. GELESKE on Instagram. I think it's the same on Facebook, and I'm on Threads too. Let me see. If you want to subscribe to my newsletter, I send that out once a month. And I always try and share what I've been up to, things that are inspiring me, and things that I hope that will inspire you as well. So if you want to sign up for that, the link is in my bio, in my Instagram bio. So that's all I have for today. I hope you join me next week for our next episode. It'll be next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Leave a comment or send me a message if this was helpful for you, and I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Have a great week. Bye.